terminology that you use also is pretty specific also.
Right.
So, and it's
quiet, we're on video.
the specifics or the specific language that you have to give the state and our city auditor. There is a, for our purposes, a more simplistic type of listing that we could use, correct? I mean, does that seem fairly simple to do?
We could devise some agreed upon reporting format that council would desire, and report any fashion you wish.
Yeah. So I understand that you have to do certain things. Let me get to the last thing that you touched. Convert undesignated, correct?
Right.
So if I'm looking at the 7.2 cash in hand, some of those issues we have specific use for, such as if it's part of that as an impact fee, then there's a specific use for that we have to use that for.
Right.
If there's some internal service funding there, there's some specific use for that. The vehicle replacement, self-insurance, things of that nature.
You can review each one of these funds and make that same determination.
Right. But we get down to the 1.9 that is not encumbered and undesignated, correct?
Right.
Now, for a city of 56,000, is that not unusual, or that would seem to me not an astronomical amount of money? I would think that it seems like good financial planning, in my opinion.
As we've reviewed through and have done our rating analysis work with Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody's over the last year, they apparently like our reserve policies. They've gone ahead and issued us some very good ratings, and I think that's an indication of the fiscal soundness of the policies that Council has established.
I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but that, of course, is of a great benefit to our taxpayers with that type of rating, because we're, in the event that not that we're looking to spend more money, but in the event that we're bonding something, we're going to get the best rates that are out there. So good, sound financial plan.
Yes.
Okay, I'm good for now.
Don. Wow. So many times over the last year, and tomorrow represents a year that I've been on council, I've seen so many times where we've been asked to make decisions on $40,000 for this and $7,000 for that. And a lot of times there's small amounts of money, but so many times I feel like we're making those decisions in a vacuum because we don't necessarily understand our cash position. I see the money we have in the bank. I don't know. You addressed the general fund, but you had to go back to the CAFR to show, and it was approximately the same. I don't know how those other funds did. I don't know if we generated cash or. The other thing is that 15% on a $34 million budget versus 15% on a $28 million budget. It's going to bring us different reserve amounts, but I know replacing pipe under Dunlawton is going to cost the same amount no matter how much we have in reserves. So it seems to me that there may be a need to have higher reserves in some accounts than there are others. We have a policy of having $1 million in the self-insurance fund. Right now we've got it overfunded by about $300,000. Ken indicated that that's a fund that maybe we can look at doing something with that money. But that $1 million policy is a reserve amount, isn't necessarily based on a percentage, it's a fixed dollar amount. So that percentage may change, and that's fine. But I guess seeing that we have this money and seeing what's allocated, I don't really have a good grip on what we have available. I know we have restricted, unrestricted, and we could go down fund by fund by fund by fund, but
if you look over, if I can draw your attention to the final page, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, the final page with yellow, it's page 4. You'll see the far left column has a balance of $69,194,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's our cash balances as of September 30th.
I saw that, and I get that.
Okay.
No, I know how much we have in the bank. I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it's too much. I don't know if it's not enough, because I see the numbers, but there's no basis of comparison. I haven't compared these fund amounts to, where were we last year? Did we significantly bring in a whole bunch more money than last year, or are we still bringing in approximately the same amount? Or are we bringing in a much less, and is that going to create a cash flow problem 2 or 3 years down the road? I have no concept. I see how much we have in the bank, but I have no concept of whether this is good or bad, except to know that, yeah, we've got good bond ratings. And while that's reassuring, we make so many decisions in a vacuum on a little bit of money here, a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. I don't have a big picture view yet of whether this is good or whether this is bad, whether I can afford these things here or not those things there. And I'm trying to get to that. Is that
if I can help you a little bit, what you're asking for is exactly what you need to ask for. The audit report that we're going through a closeout process right now. Our auditors were to arrive here tomorrow. They've been delayed because of illness until Thursday or Friday of this week. It'll take them probably 3 weeks to 4 weeks to finish their audit work, hoping to obtain some draft financial statements during January, and reviewing and presenting those statements with City Council in February, very similar to the process that we did last year. Now, what I do every month is I go ahead, we've got that beginning point of last year's audit, and then each month I go ahead and present a report to council saying that, well, we've got a budget process. Are we above or behind that budget process during the year? And that should provide you an indication that, well, things, because we're within budget, that's the importance of the budget.
That has helped.
As long as the budget starts out balanced and we stay within that budget during the year, then at year end you can make a pretty good prediction before the audit's finished again that we're going to wind up in a very similar place, or a good place that's been expected 12 months earlier. That's one of the keys to having a budget and following that budget, tracking the budget through the year, and making sure that.
Well, I mean, and yet that's a P&L analysis, managing the cash flow side of it from that to me is important. For example, we had to make a decision on our medians last year. And a lot of the decisions we based on those votes of what we want to do now, what we want to do later, to me it was sticker shock. Maybe we had the money in the bank to do some of those things now. Maybe it made sense. Maybe it didn't. But simply by, and the sticker shock thing isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it's going to keep you from spending money that you probably don't need to spend now. But I don't have a grip on the cash flow side of the house, because I don't know how we're managing it from year to year to year to year. If we're making budget every single month, and we're with our inflows and outflows, if we started with a whole lot more money than we needed, then we're going to continue to have much more money than we need. If we started with less money than we needed, and all we're doing is breaking even from the month to month to month, 2 to 3 years down the road, we're going to be in a cash flow crunch. I don't know that. I guess that's my frustration. Is that while I'm waiting for the CAFR, I just feel like we're in a reactive management mode. It's not a proactive thing, because we finished our fiscal year at the end of September, and we're going to have that information several months later in February. I don't know how the money is best spent in Parks and Rec. I don't know necessarily about water and sewer. The department heads know. If they've got cash in those funds that they need, then say so. But if they don't need it, I think they should say that as well, because they know what they need. But if they don't need that money, then we need to do other things with it. We need to retire debt. Or maybe it is a tax break. Or maybe there's some other, if we're able to retire debt, that could save a lot of money in the long run for a lot of people. I just don't have a grip on it. I'll get off my soapbox.
How much, when we went through the storms, and I know we talked about the 51 days,